Ba-bum, 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 ba-bum. Theme from Die Hard, theme from Die Hard. Have you seen Holly, Holly Gennaro? Have you seen Holly? Where's she now? Hey everybody, welcome to a very special Christmas episode of Quick Capsule Review. I hope everyone's doing all right today. Today we are reviewing the first three Die Hards, the only ones that matter. Die Hard was almost a perfect movie, directed by John McTiernan. It's set the stage for almost every action movie that followed it. And, you know, it's axiomatic that, you know, every action movie premise like Speed 2, you know, Die Hard in a boat, it all stemmed from Die Hard. In fact, it got so bad at one point in Hollywood. I don't know why. Hold on. There we go. Oh my God. One point, somebody was like, hey, we should do like Die Hard in a Building, which was, of course, the Anna Nicole Smith film Skyscraper. But this series is absolutely amazing. The first three knock it out of the park. It reminds me a little bit of a lot of the trilogies of the era, like Indiana Jones, where you had sort of like Nazis as the main villains in the first one, and then they try to do something radically different in the second one, and then the third one they bring back the Nazis because that's what sells. They did the same thing with, they were kind of quasi Nazis, the Gruber brothers. But yeah, the first Die Hard may be the best movie. If somebody said, you know, hey, my favorite movie ever is Die Hard. Like, what complaint could I have with that? Like, how am I going to attack that? I mean, there's a couple scenes where the physics don't really make sense. You know, a man plummeting a floor in an elevator shaft isn't going to be able to catch a small aperture with his fingertips and pull himself up. Like, the mass would be just outrageous at that point. Other than that, it's like, what are you going to say? I also had the, it really was the first like starring vehicle for Bruce Willis. He was doing Moonlighting, the sitcom at the time, and a bunch of Seagram's wine cooler commercials. Speaking of which, welcome back, Willie's Cup. So I don't know. It's hard to beat the real star of the show. Actually, is probably Hans Gruber, the villain. Alan Rickman has this amazing magnetism on screen, and he also has an equally amazing ability to transmute good and evil, and sort of invert all your expectations of a character. You know, if you look at the difference between Hans Gruber and Severus Snape in the Harry Potter movies, Hans Gruber could not be more evil, selfish, and despicable. All qualities of a higher education. But he's still loved. He's beloved. He's one of the most charming villains of all time. And if you look at Severus Snape, and you know the deep lore of the Harry Potter story, he's absolutely like the biggest hero of that whole universe. And everybody fucking hates his guts. So it's pretty amazing. I really can't say enough good things about this film, or how badly framed it is on my camera. So yeah, 40 stories of sheer adventure. That says it all. Then we moved on to a different director. Die Hard 2 was directed by the great Rennie Harlin, and I say the great advisedly. Maybe if you're a what was it, Cutthroat Island? Maybe if you're a Cutthroat Island watcher, he doesn't seem that great, but he did The Long Kiss Goodnight. He did Deep Blue Sea, my favorite shark movie. I really enjoyed Rennie Harlin's stuff, and it's a peculiar movie. Actually, I just noticed in the last reviewing that Franco Nero played the legendary Mr. Falcon from the the made-for-TV cut, where he goes, "Yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Falcon," which was the most perfect TV dub ever. But yeah, Franco Nero, who was Django in the original Italian movies and guest starred in Django Unchained. Anyway, I never pieced that together, that's who that was. But it also had just like a slew of great character actors, like Vondi Curtis Hall, the black terrorist in that one, who later went on to have a really impressive directing career. He did, I think, like some Tupac movies. He did some episodes of Firefly. Like, he was all over the place. And the great William Sadler, just a wonderful villain. Hey, let's wake up. Oh my God. It's the terrorist knocking the lights out. The vault was just unlocked. It's Christmas, Theo. It's the time of miracles. Die Hard 2 doesn't rate as highly, I don't think, as the original Die Hard or Die Hard with a Vengeance. But it's very good. It's a peculiar movie, though, because there's a lot of like red-soaked images, and even though it's dead of winter and like everyone is about to die from frostbite and they're all like running around in the cold, it's still a very like sweaty movie. It just has this sweaty, gritty feel to it. But I've almost never been more hyped by a trailer when it showed John McClane in the running around going, how can the same shit happen to the same guy twice? Like that was back in the days of like, what else was coming out that year? It was like Gremlins 2. I don't know. It was just the early 90s. But yeah, I liked it. That one had even more ridiculous physics. Like, why does an airplane that's completely empty on gas explode and light up the entire eastern seaboard with its fiery crash? Things like that don't really make any sense. But it's an action movie. You're allowed a few lapses of judgment. The entertainment value is incredible. Also, I'm not sure. What was it? Does C-130s have ejector seats? I'm not sure. Anyway, it had some silly stuff. And tell me in the comments if I'm wrong. I don't think they do. Maybe they do. But moving on to Die Hard with a Vengeance, with the great Jeremy Irons, who, if you've ever seen Dungeons and Dragons, is the finest actor of this or any generation. He plays Hans Gruber's brother, and he delights in chewing up the scenery. It's not as over the top as in Dungeons and Dragons, which I really recommend you check out just for him. You can fast forward through Thora Birch and her, ass deep in a heroin nod in every scene. But yeah, Jeremy Irons in this film is wonderful. He just has so much fun. Like, he that's even one of his lines. Like, somebody had fun. He just really, his character delights in his moral crapitude. And God, this one had another surprise cameo for me doing the rewatch lately, because I just watched all three back to back. Actually, I watched them back to back, but in reverse order. But yeah, Die Hard with a Vengeance had Rawls from The Wire as like a foreman near the George Washington Bridge. It was weird. I was like, man, that's an early Rawls. I didn't even know who he was back in the day. And it also had it really leaned into the racial elements, because in all three Die Hards, notably, John McClane has a black sidekick, kind of co-adventurer. It's Reginald Vell Johnson in the first one. The air traffic controller, I don't remember the actor's name in the second one, but they're sort of like joined at the hip for a lot of the movie. And then Samuel Jackson plays Zeus, who is basically a racist himself. And when he hears about John McClane's adventures in L.A., he's like, "Oh, what, the Rodney King beatings?" And it's just really funny that they chose that moment or that movie to tackle racial issues, but it winds up being fantastic. Like, he's, it's actually another thing that reminds me of Indiana Jones in a way, because when they had this stunt casting of Sir Sean Connery, R.I.P. 2020, when they had him as Indy's father in the third one, he was a major star, and it served almost for overshadow Harrison Ford. And in this one, the two of them, Jackson and Willis, they stood shoulder to shoulder in the whole movie. And he'd never had a co-star like that in a Die Hard movie before. John Amos isn't quite the stellar figure that Sam Jackson was at the time of this film. So I don't know. It was cool. And I don't know. I think once they fix this, his awful receding hairline, and he was just like straight up bald in Die Hard 4. What was that? Good Day to Die Hard. All the magic was gone. Like, if you don't have the receding hairline, semi-balding Bruce Willis, you don't have the lovable everyman. It's just gone. He's just a soulless Terminator at that point. BB, you're stalking around like a crazy nut. Why don't you say hi? All right. Mr. BB wants to say hi. Hi, everybody. What's up? Oh, he's not showing up. Yeah. Say hi to everybody. All right. Good deal. Thank you. Thanks for participating. Mr. BB always likes to break into these. All right. Where was I? Mr. BB distracted me. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's no reason to really talk about this series on anything like our Stormbreaker films, things like, Dinosaur Forest, which only covers movies with bad titles. These are all fine. In fact, they're wonderful, amazing titles. And there's no reason to talk about them in Hollywood upcycling, because Hollywood doesn't need an excuse to remake Die Hard in any way, shape, or form. But they do it all the time. But they are Christmassy movies. Obviously, Die Hard and Die Harder both occur on Christmas Eve. Die Hard with a Vengeance, though, it very sneakily peppers in a lot of Christmas elements to it. Just bits of dialogue, like Bruce Willis shoots a guy in a cement truck and tells him that he just saw a jolly old elf running by there or something like that. I don't know. They make mentions of that. And a partridge in a pear tree, I think somebody throws that out. There's like 3 or 4 Christmas lines, which is really clever. So anyway, I just wanted to throw something up. I know it's been a crazy year. 2020 has been quite the year for everybody. I'm super rusty on recording this kind of stuff, so forgive me for rambling and for pushing my cat on you. What's up, BB? Do you have any final words for our audience, BB? Nope. He is content. All right. Well, I hope you are all content as well. And I hope you have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And yeah, yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.